Hi guys. So today we're gonna solve the valid parenthesis problem. Okay. So let's read the problem real quick. So it says given a string is containing just characters, opening bracket, closing bracket, and this the curly brackets and the square brackets. Okay. So determine if the input string is valid. That's what we need to do. Okay. So an input string is valid if an opening bracket must be closed by the same type of bracket. Opening bracket must be closed in the correct order. Okay. So what it does is that let's see some inputs. So this is actually a valid input. So we should return true. This is also valid because the first one is opened and it is closed by the same kind of bracket. This is also opened and closed by. Okay. So you know what is a valid parenthesis, right? So this is actually not a valid parenthesis. So what happens here is that it is opened by normal brackets, then it's closed by a square bracket. So it's a invalid, so it returns false. Okay, this one is also false, and this one is true. Okay, this is what we need to dictate. Okay, so this is the problem over here. Let's see how to solve this problem or how to approach this problem in the first place. Okay, so let's take this simple example and try to reason our way through it. Okay. So I'm going to create a empty string and I'm going to place it in here. This is what we have, right? So we have a string like this. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to traverse through this string and find out if it is valid or not. So first of all, the main idea to solve this problem is to use a stack. Okay, using a stack, this is a classic stack problem and you can easily solve it using a stack. Okay, so what I'll do is just create a stack and I'll create a stack like this in Python. So I'm going to be doing all my coding in Python. Okay, so here this is a stack, and what I need to do is I need to push in the values brackets as they come in, right? So if the bracket, I'm going to loop through this string and I'm going to check if the first bracket which comes in is a opening bracket or not. Okay, so if it is an opening bracket, then what I'll do, I'll just push it into this stack. Okay, so right now this is an open bracket, so I'll just push it in the stack, right, like this. So then I'll move forward like this. So right now it's a closing bracket, right? So whenever a closing bracket comes, what I'll do is I'll pop the stack. Okay, so I'll pop the stack. Now right now this stack, inside the stack there is a opening bracket, right? So I'll just pop it, so there's nothing inside the stack. Then I'll move forward. This is an opening bracket, so I'll just insert it into the stack. So I'll just push it in the stack. Then I'll move forward. This is a closing bracket, so I'll just pop from the stack. Okay, so now when I pop from the stack, I also need to check if this closing bracket, if the bracket that is present inside the stack top is the valid bracket or not, right? So what happens is that if it is an opening if it is a square bracket, then I need to check if the stack top, if in the stack top the bracket right now is an opening square bracket or not, right? I need to check the type of the bracket or not. Okay, so that's what makes this problem a little bit complicated, but it's still an easy problem. Okay, so we need to figure out these things. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna just start off with the overall overview. That's all, right? So then I'll just move forward and I'll check for the next one. So right now this is the same type, right? So I'll just remove it. Okay, sorry. Then I'll just move forward. I'll have an opening bracket. I'll push it in the stack. Then I'll have a closing bracket. So I'll just remove the stack, and this closing bracket corresponds to the bracket in here. Okay, so I'll just remove this one. Okay, so at the end what I'll do is I'll check if the stack is empty or not. The stack is empty, I know that all the parentheses have been matched, so I'll just return true. Okay, if that's not the case, then I'll just return false, right? So this is the overall idea by which we can solve it, right? So I'll just type here what all I need to do. First step is to check if opening bracket, if open, then push in the stack. Okay, so if it is not open, like let's say if closed, then what I need to do, I need to check if the type is same, right, then one, check if type is same. Okay, if type is same, then I can return true, or if the type is not same, then I can return false, right? So I'll say if type is not same, then I'll just return false. Okay, the reason why I look for false statements is that just because this thing is true, like if the type is same, I cannot be sure to return true, right? I need to check the rest of the array also. But the problem here is that if it is false, like if it is not the same, then I'm sure that it's false, right? Did you understand? Like for example, if either one of this condition is wrong, then this entire thing will be wrong. But either one of this condition is true, we cannot be sure that this entire thing will be true, right? So that's why I'm always looking for false conditions. Okay, so then I'll look at the next condition. So if it is actually closing bracket, so if the bracket which comes in is a closing bracket, then I need to check if the type is not the same, then I'll return false. And also I need to check if the list is empty, like if the stack top is empty or not. Okay, if the stack is empty, then I can just return false, because if it is like this, like if it starts with a closing bracket, the stack is empty, then I can easily return it as false, right? So I'm just hunting for the false statements over here. Okay, I'll say if stack is empty, then I can return false, right? Okay, this is my pseudocode. Okay, now these are the conditions. Now if that's not the case, right, so these are the two cases, like if it's a closing bracket and these if these two conditions are false, then what I can do, I can easily uh, pop the top of the stack, right? I'll just pop the stack. Okay, that's it. So then what I'll do is, this is the third step to do. Okay, great. So then if it is not right, that's it. So after this loop is completed, I'll do this entire thing for the entire string. Okay, for the entire string, for entire string, I'll do this steps. Okay, so if this is true, if after completing everything, then I'll check if the stack is empty or not. If stack is not empty, then I can return false, because after completing everything, we are just popping for each input closing bracket, right? So for each closing bracket, we are popping a opening bracket. So at the end, if they match, there should be nothing inside the stack. That's fine. Okay, if stack is not empty, then I'll return false, else, or I'll just return true. Okay, return true, right? So this is my pseudocode. Let's try to implement this in code. Okay, so one of the things that you need to understand is check how to check if it's an opening bracket or closing bracket, and also how to check the type, right? So to check the type, I'm going to use a dictionary, and to check if it's an opening and closing brackets, I'm going to use a list. Okay, right? So I'll show you with code. It's going to be much more easier to do it with code. Okay, so I'll create this list called closed. Okay, so here in this we are never checking if it's an opening bracket or not. Okay, so so first of all, what I'll do is I'll just create a variable called as open, list called open set. Okay, open set is equals to, or opn. So open is actually a keyword, so to avoid that confusions, I'm going to use it as open set. Okay, open set equals to, I'll just store those values inside it. So this is one of the opening bracket, and I have this bracket, this curly brackets, which is also an opening bracket. So the next opening bracket will be the square bracket, right? So these are all the opening brackets. So I need the closing set also. So I'll say close set equals to another set. Inside this set, I'm going to store the closing brackets. This is the first closing bracket. Then I have the next closing bracket. Then I'll have the next closing bracket. Okay, so I have this opening and closing set. I can just check if the if the letter which is present inside this opening set or closing set, right? So then I can create a dictionary like inverse equals to what I'm going to store inside this dictionary is that I'm going to store the closing bracket and the corresponding opening bracket for that. Okay, this is the corresponding opening bracket for that, right? So this is how I can actually dictate which is the corresponding type, right? So it's a really cool way of doing that. So I'm going to use the closing bracket as a key, and I'm going to store the opening brackets as the value. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to use this one also. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the closing brackets as a key and the opening bracket as the value. Okay. Right. That's it. So I now have this dictionary. Now I need to implement this logic, right? That's all. So it's really easy. First of all, I need to create a stack, right? I'll create a stack and I'll initialize it as empty. Then I'll loop through this string. I'll say for letter in S. Okay, for letter in S. First I need to check if it is a closing bracket or not, right? I'll say if it is an opening bracket, I'll do it. But wait, first of all, I'll check if it is a closing bracket or not. That's going to be much more easier. You'll see why it is. Okay, I'll say if close set, if close set, if letter in close set. Okay, if letter in close set, then I need to check two things, right? Then I need to check these things like if type is not the same, right? If type is not the same, and I also check if stack is empty, right? So first I'll check if the stack is empty or not. I'll say if stack, if not stack, right? If not stack, I'll return false. Okay, then I'll check if stack of -1 not equals to letter. I can't do that. I'll use the inverse dictionary for that, right? I'll use inverse dot get of letter. Okay, so if that's not true, then I'll just return false. Okay, if all these conditions are wrong, which means this return will never happen, right? Okay, return false. If all those conditions are false, then what I'll do is I'll just say, sorry about that. Okay, so if all these conditions are false, then what I'll do is one second, let me just check if there's an option by which I can do that. No. Okay, great, no problem still. So if those conditions are not, then I'll just pop the stack, right? So I'll just say stack dot pop. That's it. Okay, so then what I'll do is here, if this is not the case, like else, if it is not a closing set, if it is not inside the closing set, then it's obviously inside the opening set, right? So then if it is inside the opening set, what I need to do, I need to append it to the stack, right? I'll say stack dot append of letter, right? That's it. So that's over. After this loop is over, I need to check, I need to return not of stack, right? So if the stack is empty, I need to return the stack is empty, I need to return true, right? The stack is, if there is something inside the stack, then I need to return false. Okay, that's why I'll just return not of stack. Okay, let's see if it works or not. Let's try to run it and see. Before that, let's see if there's any problem with the code. Okay, I don't see any syntax errors, but let's see if there is any logical errors. Okay, let's try to do a dry run with this code, with this specific example. Let's take this example and try to dry run. Okay, so right now it should return false, right? So let's see if it is returning false or not. We have the stack. Okay, so here what we do is initially we'll just start off with, this is a closing bracket. So here we'll just say These things are okay. So I'll say for letters in S, if letter in closing set. So it is in closing set, right? It is in closing set. So I'll just check if note of stack is not present or not. Okay, stack note of stack is true, I mean, which means the stack is empty, so it will return false. Okay, so it returns false. Let's imagine a situation where this is not there, so it is a closing bracket, so this condition is false, so it will just append these letters to this thing. Okay, the opening bracket is appended, then the next thing will come, which is a closing bracket. So what happens here, which is a closing bracket, letter in close set. Yeah, if not of stack is not empty, so that's not a problem. If stack of -1 is this, is not equals to inverse dot get of letter. So inverse dot get of letter, so letter is this closing bracket, so inverse dot get of letter is this thing. Okay, so this is also false, right? So we need to pop it. Okay, we just pop it, then again this loop will come and it will come here, the same thing will happen, right? I guess the same thing will happen, right? Yeah, I did not guess, it's correct. Okay, yeah, so at the end we'll just check if not of stack. If stack is empty, stack is already empty, so it is false. So false of not of false is true, so it should return true. Let's try to run it and see. Yeah, we are getting the correct answer. Now let's give some other test cases. Let's give a closing bracket over here and see if it figures it out or not. Yeah, our code is correct. Okay, so now let's see how to make this code a little bit faster, right? So first of all, we can initially check if the length of this string is an even number, right? If it's an odd number, then we can be sure that it's a invalid parenthesis, right? So if it's an even number, or if the length is 1, right? The length is let's say the length is 0. Length can never be 0 according to this constraint, but if the length is 1, still it's an invalid parenthesis, right? So we can just check those conditions at first itself, so we can save a lot of time based on that, right? So what I'll do is I'll just say if len of s is less than or equals to 1, or len of s mod 2. Okay, if len of s mod 2, I'll say if which is 0, right? It should be 0. It's a note of len of s mod 2. Okay, then I can just return false, right? Okay, it should work. Let's try to give a specific situation like that. Let's give single letter thing. Let's see if it returns true or false. Yeah, it returns false, that's correct. Okay, let's give a situation where there is a difference in the number of things. Okay, it should return false. Yeah, it returns false. So now let's do one thing, let's try to submit our code and see. Okay, so the moment of truth, let's see. Let's see what happens. Oh no, there's a wrong answer. Oh no, what's the problem with that? hmm. Okay, right. So what happens here? So it's okay. We got a wrong answer for this input, right? Hmm. That's a problem. Let's see. Let's try to dry run based on that. That's okay, guys. This kinds of problems always okay. Okay. Let's see. So the length of this string is not less than or equals to 1. So that's no problem with that. So we'll start off here. For letter in S, if letter in close set, yeah, it's not in close set. So else we'll just append this letter to the stack. Okay, it is appended to the stack. Then it comes here, letter in close set, so it is in close set. We'll say if not of stack, return false. Stack is not empty, so will not return false. If stack of -1 not equals to inverse, then we'll return false. That's also not correct, right? I hope it's not correct. No, right? Okay, so will not return false, so we'll just pop this thing. Okay, we'll pop it. Then there's nothing inside this list, so it should return true, right? Okay, it should return true. Why it returns false? Let's try to give that input here. Let's try to run it and see. Okay, it's coming as false. Okay, let's see what's the problem here. Okay. So the length is obviously 2. So length mode 2 is obviously 0. So that's not a problem. Okay. Okay. So if length mode 2 is equals to 1, right? Let's try to run it. Let's see if there's some logical problem in it. It's, I don't know. Oh, guys, okay. I'm really sorry about that. It was a really silly mistake, okay? So what happened here is that if length mode 2, I just checked if length mode 2, right? So in Python, if I say length mode 2 and if it is even, then I'll get 0 as an answer, right? So 0 is an false. 0 is considered as false in it, okay? So if it is 0, so I need not return true, right? So I shouldn't have given that note over here. Okay, that's my mistake. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So it's a good thing like we had this error, so we can understand a little bit more about this Python, considering these things are fast, true or false, right? Okay, guys. So here my code has been submitted, and I got a really low time. Okay. So what's the problem with this? How can we increase this algorithm? Like how can we increase the speed? First of all, we don't need this open set, right? Because we are not using it, so we can remove that open set. What else can be done? Okay. Hmm. Okay. Let's check. Hmm. Right. We must not get of letters. Hmm. Is there any way by which we can make it faster? Right. Let's see. Let's do one thing. Let's check these two things, right? We don't need to check it in a this huge range. No, it's also good, right? Yeah. Let's do one thing. Let's try to run it one more time and see. Okay. There's no problem. Let's try to submit it and see if I get the correct answer or not. Yeah, okay. Right now I got a good answer. So I got like 85.30% faster code, and I also got like 88.41. Okay, you guys do know like some situations it will give you like low speed. Sometimes situations it will give you fast. So it all depends on the time of execution and all those kinds of stuff. Okay, so like we cannot completely depend our complexity based on this timing system, but still it's a good algorithm. Okay. So I guess it is clear for you. I guess I struggled through it, so you can also learn from that struggle. It's been a great thing. Okay. So bye. Thank you.